Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. We have some interesting things to speak about today, but first we have Katie pulling in the house. Say hello, Katie, and Katie, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Alex. Well, I'm Katie, as Alex said, and we love our country. And Alex and I are very upset with the way the elected officials and bureaucrats are running our country. We live in a beautiful country. Um, I'm a hardworking woman. I came to Ohio in 2013 finding more opportunity. I landed a career in as a marketing director for a $7 million window company. I was a very sought after acquisitions marketer, as my acquisitions personally totaled over $1 million a year for several years in a row, and I was very blessed to
I
lead
can
a
attest to
great
that.
marketing team.
I said I can attest to that.
I had a great marketing team who I was able to mentor some really great young people, and Alex is one of them who moved into a great career, and but my career ended in 2020 due to COVID restrictions, and so we're just here to get out some news and talk about some things with you folks.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. You sent me an article. What was it? Not yesterday morning, but the morning before that. That was really interesting. But before we get into that, a little bit of a mission statement. We care about truth. We care about freedom. We care about the pursuit of happiness. Um, you know, Without happiness, what do you really have? Nobody really wants to be angry. And there's major scandals erupting in the White House, governments all over the world. This is world affairs issues. And we care about it. These people are interconnected. But before we really get into all that, let me tell you a bit about myself. I went to state in soccer. I played for about 7 years. I went to state in art. I became one of the best MLG Call of Duty players of my generation. That was like over a decade ago. I also was ranked really high in some PC games. I went to MIAT College of Technology, and I got my certificates in the wind industry. I've been in that industry for about going on 6 years, a lead technician for about 2. And, these mandates, I've lost 2. My mom had heart surgery not too long ago, and then I just started getting back into the wind industry. I lost 2 opportunities because of these mandates with a major energy company. I'm not going to talk about any details right now because of charges that I'm pursuing. But, let's just say that I'm upset. I'm hopeful, and I'm determined, and we need to stand up and let people know how we feel. Katie, that article that you sent this morning or the other morning, that was a terrorism, basically a domestic terrorism bulletin. I'm gonna pull it up here real quick on my phone and on the computer. But Katie. That was let's see, it was DNS.gov, I think. Let me see.
Yeah, it was a
Right
bulletin
here.
from the Department of
DHS.
Homeland Security.
DHS.gov, yep. Terrorism threat to U.S. Homeland Security. It's just crazy. Katie, you want to read that, at least that one paragraph there, or maybe a little bit further if you got it?
The summary of terrorism threat to the U.S. homeland. I with everything that's going on, this doesn't surprise me. This article doesn't surprise me a bit. This bulletin, they're running scared. They don't want anyone to, question their motives in any way, shape, or form. And if you trust the government, you don't know history.
You don't know history.
Right.
That's correct.
So,
I mean, look, the people up in Ottawa there was a restaurant owner, a business owner up there, and they were serving the truckers. And now Mr. Trudeau wants to throw him in jail for serving the truckers. Okay, throughout history, what's something else you think about? As far as like Black history. When you see somebody going in the early 1900s trying to get served, and they're just treated disrespectfully, and it's history is repeating itself.
Oh, absolutely. If the horrific crimes that were committed in the South in the Jim Crow era of the 1930s, anyone who was a quote black sympathizer, or the N-word is what they used back then. This just reminds me of those types of actions. It's like, are we living in the Jim Crow
We're losing
era
our freedoms.
again? We are.
We're losing our freedoms.
It.
It's modern day segregation.
Absolutely, but this bulletin from the Department of Homeland Security was posted February 7th, 2022, and it's a summary of terrorism threat to the U.S. homeland. The United States remains in a heightened threat environment fueled by several factors, including an online environment filled with false or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories and other forms of dis, and malinformation, MDM, introduced and or amplified by foreign and domestic threat actors. These threat actors seem to exacerbate social friction to sow discord and undermine public trust in government institutions, to encourage unrest which could potentially inspire acts of violence. Oh, are they scared or what?
When it says undermine public trust in government, Rand Paul just made a statement. He said, the Constitution wasn't wrote to restrict its citizens. It was wrote to restrict the government. Okay? And so that's like basically the headline of the article here. If you can read it if you want. Okay, I think it's a bunch of bullcrap. It's it's fear mongering. It's what they've been doing. I skipped to the juicy stuff. Okay, so we got here. How are they responding? Because what legal authority does this bulletin give them? In my opinion, they're setting themselves up for basically martial law, more tyranny. Okay, so we got this article here. How are they responding? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read this first bulletin here. So, DHS, let me get my mic here. DHS, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, continue to share timely and actionable information and intelligence with the broadest audience possible. This includes sharing information and intelligence with our partners across every level of government and in the private sector. We conduct recurring threat briefings with private sector and state, local, tribal, territorial, and campus partners, including to inform security planning efforts. DHS remains committed to working with our partners to identify, prevent all forms of terrorism and targeted violence, and to support law enforcement efforts to keep our communities safe. Okay, so they're setting themselves up. Okay, I mean, this is just they're creating an atmosphere with this first bullet point. Katie, will you read the second one, please? Do you have it up?
I got it up here now. I was just all forms of terrorism and targeted violence, and to support law enforcement efforts to keep our communities safe.
I'll read the next one too.
I think that this is just they're covering themselves because they know that their tyrannical policies are angering a lot of people, and they're upsetting a lot of people, and they know that the citizens of the United States are going to rebel. It's coming. It's happening, and they just want to make sure that nothing happens.
Okay. So the second bulletin here, DHS Office Intelligence and Analysis establish a new dedicated domestic terrorism branch. Okay. So this is a new dedicated domestic terrorism branch.
Oh, just what we need, another bureaucracy.
Right. To produce the sound, timely intelligence needed to counter related threats. Mind you, this bulletin and this authority was issued February 7th, guys. That was what? What's today's date?
Today's the 21st.
21st. They've been prepping for this, okay? They are preparing. The National Guard is already in D.C. as far as I'm aware of. They're prepping themselves for martial law, in my opinion. That's what they're doing. The second, okay, so those are the first two bulletins. Let's get up the second section here. Pardon me, I'm kind of a noob with this here software. I don't know what I'm doing, so just bear with me.
What's you got the next
I'm
one?
trying to drag I think it's blocking the screen and it's not. Anyways, okay, I'm just gonna read it how it is.
Nonprofit security.
No, wait, is that the one we're at? No, we're at the partnerships one. Okay. So, I'm going to read this one too.
Okay.
DHS Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, CP3, provides communities with resources and the tools to help prevent individuals from radicalizing to violence. In 2021, CP3 awarded about $20 million. $20 million. Holy crap. In grants through its Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant Program. Okay, so these guys, I mean, they are on one.
I'm sure a lot of them.
They are prepping themselves for tyranny. Yeah, that's what I see. So in 2021, DHS designated domestic violent extremism as a national priority area within its Homeland Security Grant Program, HSP, resulting in in at least $77 million being spent on preventing, protecting against and responding to related threats. So, I mean, these guys are spending millions and millions of dollars to step on our freedoms and not allow, like, to try to submerge our opinions, submerge them. They're trying to drown us. They're trying to drown out our voices. That's why I'm holding my microphone close to my mouth right now, so my voice doesn't get drowned out. Okay, I care about this country. Okay, I want my voice to be heard. I want Katie's voice to be heard. And if you guys comment on this and you got anything to say, I want your voice to be heard. Okay, so let's finish this off. There's a couple other things when we zoom out and we look at the big picture on what's happening here in this big political chess game. Okay, so we're gonna finish this article real quick, and then we're gonna get into a couple other points. And so, Katie, you got the next one up. So we're on the nonprofit security grant program. Are you texting your boyfriend?
No, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just, I'm actually trying to download what's on my phone onto my computer, so I don't have to look at my phone. So,
yeah. So this is our first podcast, guys. So if you want to call it that, when we get on the road, we plan on being like live streaming, making videos, keeping people updated, spreading awareness, talking with everybody, getting to know them. Talking with other people, letting their stories get heard, what they have to say. Earlier when I talked about I wanted my voice to be heard, I want everyone's voice to be heard, right? So that's why we're going to DC. That's why we're prepping up these cameras. That's why we took pride in our setup, because we care about this. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, or Katie, you got it? You got
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
You know, I just think that this, you know, they're setting up different bureaucracies, spending more of your hard-earned money
Exactly.
on things that, you know, they want to nationalize our police is what they're trying to do.
They're tribalizing them.
Yeah, and it's not. We don't need a national central police. We need local police enforcements in our each sovereign state. We live in a sovereign state, and that word sovereign means separate and standing alone. And we, govern ourselves on certain things.
If the state and the government fails to do so, we are magistrates, okay? If the government can't do it, it gets passed down to the states in some aspects, okay? If the states can't do it or they fail to do it, then it gets handed down to the people to hold them accountable, okay? We are magistrates. I forget the lady's name. I wish I had it pulled up, but she gave a great speech in New York a month or so ago, and she said there's no time to be comfortable. We can't just listen to a speech, go home and get comfortable, watch the Simpsons and forget about it. Okay, there is no time to be comfortable. Now is the time to act. This is a CTA. This is a call to action. Okay, we're calling all patriots, all freedom-loving people, all peace-loving people. We're calling on you guys to stand up. Okay, Canada has 30 million people. We have how many, Katie?
300 million.
300 million plus. Yep. Okay.
Right. So it's just, it's time to stand up for our rights, our children's rights, for our children's future.
Please.
I was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th of 2021, and I saw a lot of things that I shouldn't have seen. I never set foot on the Capitol steps. I denounce any violence that happened on January 6th, 2021 in Washington, D.C. I went there because I had questions. I had questions as to who really won our elections. There were questions that I had about election officials and how things were carried out. And I don't think that our country will ever know who our duly elected official president is, who was elected in 2020. In my opinion, they just tore apart the whole institution, our whole voting institution. They're just making a mockery of it, and it truly does break my heart, because this is a country where opportunity is for everyone. Yes, we have a very, very sad, ugly past, and we don't want to go back to that, but we do want to go back to the point where every man is created equal. Every man, woman, and child is treated equally.
Katie, when you was at January 6th, you said your phone was dead, and you would have liked to record something that happened. You mind telling me a little bit about that?
The afternoon of January 6th, the party that I was with, we went and we heard President Donald J. Trump's very peaceful speech. And he just asked questions, and he asked that we, question the election.
What
and then we went,
okay.
And then we walked down Pennsylvania Avenue. We sang "God Bless America." We waved flags, and I walked up behind the Capitol The way the Capitol is situated, it's on its own like big city block. And there was like a park on the right side of the street. We were like a city block behind the Capitol. And there was a street that kind of went up into behind the Capitol, and then it dead ended into the square of the Capitol. On one side was a big park. On the other side was a sidewalk and some buildings. At the beginning of that block, there were like the sawhorse barricades going across the street, blocking the street, and there was nothing in there. Well, as I walked up there, crowds were starting to go up onto the Capitol steps, and I saw people up on the Capitol steps. I was a little apprehensive to approach, so I kind of, dawdled my way up. As we walked up, three white short buses.
This is where it gets juicy.
Pulled up. They were escorted by DC police. I stood there and watched. I had no signal on my cell phone. I had no power. My cell phone signal, or my cell phone battery had died because there were cell phone blockers everywhere. They didn't want anybody getting anything out. Nobody had a cell phone signal. Nobody could do anything. You couldn't get a signal for the internet or anything to save, practically save your life. But as I stood there, I watched these men get out of these buses. These buses were full of men in camouflage and dressed up in black. They had black hats on. And a lot of them had hoods. They were escorted by DC police. They went up onto the Capitol Square. And that's when everything started getting really violent. In my opinion, I believe that they were infiltrators. They were set up, sent in by our government to make the peaceful protesters on January 6th, 2021 in Washington, D.C. look bad.
To make them look bad. And you know what else they did on January 6th? And me and you have talked about it, but to anyone that might not know, they found pipe bombs, okay? Kamala Harris's Secret Service team found pipe bombs, okay? And I was brushing my beard earlier, and the light was shining in from the skylight, and I was like, what's all that dust when I'm rubbing my beard? And Katie's like, oh, that's probably just skin particles, And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And I was like, you know what? Back to those pipe bombs. They found no DNA, no fingerprints. Okay. They eluded all the dark spots of facial recognition cameras or even cameras in DC. Okay. Pretty highly surveyed area. And but they failed to install a correct timer or whatever, because they were set to explode the day before. They never exploded. Okay, so it was done as a political hit job. It was framing. Okay, that's my opinion. But you know what? When you look at things like Hillary, that's on the chopping block for funding these guys, spying on President Trump, not only during his investigation but his entire presidency. Okay, that is proof in itself. Okay, we have Epstein with blackmail on some of the world's most powerful politicians. That just happened a few years ago. We're still seeing the repercussions of it, in my opinion. Okay, money is the root of all evil. I mean, what do you think about those pipe bombs?
Well, it was total hit job. It just confirmed it for me when I saw Senator Ted Cruz asking agents of the FBI questions like, did the FBI participate in any violent actions during January 6th? And it came back, beep, sir, I cannot answer that question. Okay? That just tells me that they, what I saw was right. And then, getting back to the story, when I saw those guys get off those buses and go up there, and then all of a sudden, I walked up there and was told by my fiance, "You stay right here. You don't move." And he went to try to find another woman that was with us, with no luck. But by the time he had come back to where I was, by those buses, that whole street had filled up with DC police, county police, Virginia police, Maryland police. That whole city block was like 3 cars
That's very
wide,
interesting.
and all the way down the block, and it was just loaded with police. It was like they sent the infiltrators in and then sent
And
the
just
police
swarm them
in.
is what it sounds like to me. Because you know what? They talk about the lack of security leading up to the protesters marching down there. Okay, but how did they have cops from all over the place just ready to go? Okay, right when the stuff started getting sticky. I mean, it's almost like they knew it was going to happen. Did they? I don't know. Will we ever find out? I hope so. But, more people need to be raising conversations about stuff like this. Okay, so when you talk about, like, the political framing and stuff, we can even jump back to the COVID, okay? That's the main reason why we're going to D.C. is because of these mandates, huh? It's just kind of ironic that Hillary just got blasted right in the face, thankfully, over all the corrupt, nasty bullcrap that she has been doing, and her associates as well for decades. I think technology is catching up to them. But in any case, Fauci. Okay, I'm sure you guys heard about the emails with him and a couple Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford doctors trying to discuss whether or not it might have been a possible lab leak. And, then what was it? Like $8 million or something he donated to them like 3 weeks later, just basically to shut him up.
Yeah, hush money.
Comment below. It was either 3 million or 8 million or something. I don't know what it was. So fact check me on that. But when we're talking about like zooming out, okay, looking at the big picture of things, you start to see the chessboard. Okay, Katie and I were talking about how paying close attention to what's going on in Canada is important because Trudeau is the one that lobbied Biden back into these mandates. Okay, and you saw what happened when the Supreme Court shut it down. He went on a rampage telling everybody to do it anyways. Do it anyways. He's mad because his executive order got shut down. And, it's just tyranny to the max. Go ahead, Katie.
It is. And, little Castro Trudeau, as Steve Bannon referred to him, is, right out of the gate, he conveniently, test positive for COVID. So he goes into hiding like a third world dictator,
like Biden did during the election,
and then comes back out and then is too ignorant to realize that the man who was flying the Nazi flag was doing it in jest. Excuse me. He was doing it in jest. He was saying, these are tyrannical things. This
is what it's
like
turning
Nazi.
into, is what he's saying. He's saying,
this
listen,
is what we're turning. Is
he's
this
not
what we
supporting
become?
the Nazi flag. If you think that, you've been lied to. You have been manipulated by the lamestream media. Okay, you need to do your own digging. Okay, grab a shovel, go outside, make sure the ground's moist. Okay, grab you some water, hydrate yourself. Okay, and start digging. Okay, because there's a lot of information that needs to be dug up, brushed off, and looked at.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. We really need to. I mean, we need more people to get up out of the armchair and turn off the lamestream media. Stop the willful ignorance.
Stop the willful ignorance. Okay? I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I really respect her. I'm not going to put any names out there. But, I brought up January 6th, and she did one of those, things, you know, like it was such a burden to hear about January 6th. People have kind of been like trained to be triggered. That's kind of like the term that I've coined for it. People are trained to be triggered, and you know what it is people just have such a short fuse. If you tune out for 2 weeks, you're going to be lost in a sea of information that you have to catch up on. Okay, because there's just so much coming out right now, and people get trained to be triggered. They're overwhelmed. Their fuses are short. They don't. I mean, most people are used to just tunnel visioned in their daily lives and living happily. And unfortunately, we're in a time where living happily is coming to a price of our freedoms and a price of our government getting corrupted. Okay, so it's up to us. The government isn't doing nothing for us. Okay, Biden isn't doing anything for us. Okay, we need to bring our businesses home. We need to start businesses here again. Solar was created in the United States. Who's the leading manufacturer? Got a guess, Katie?
China.
Who do you think's Biden's puppet master is?
President. What is it? How do you say it's Gene?
What?
How do you say?
I was going to say China.
China.
Oh, yeah, Jinping or whatever.
Jinping.
Okay. I love you.
Hong Kong food.
You know, it's messed up because I really love the Chinese culture. I think it's so beautiful. It's like I loved watching martial arts movies growing up. I appreciate the culture, and when you start to like look at it, and it's just like, yeah, that was the culture a long time ago. The culture now is like dictatorship to the max. You don't have a say.
Well, actually, the Chinese people are very, very wonderful people. They have a beautiful culture. They have, beautiful landscape. Their beliefs, their horticulture, everything. Actually, what's wrong with China? The CCP.
The CCP.
It's
a dictatorship. Yeah. Communism.
You would not believe
Marxism.
Sorry. You would not believe how many little booths I saw on January 6th. Little Chinese girls speaking their broken English to me with tear-filled eyes, saying, "We have to stop China. They're killing people." And there is no way in the world anyone is going to get this girl to believe that the COVID virus came from a bat.
And speaking of zooming out and looking at the big picture here, okay, when you look at the inflamed media, okay, and the framing that's been done politically that we know of, okay, and you look at the dates around when COVID started, when the CCP invaded Hong Kong, when BLM inflamed not only America but the world, really, the timelines add up. Okay, Katie was talking about these Chinese girls speaking to her with their broken English. Well, when COVID got released is when the CCP was seizing Hong Kong, and there was people singing the American anthem, flying our flags. Right here, flying our flags, basically calling for help, but because of COVID, we couldn't do nothing. It was a global pandemic. Shut it down. And now they're looking to invade Taiwan. Now Russia's looking to invade Ukraine. This is crazy. You gotta zoom out, guys, and look at the big picture and the big political chessboard. Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, we just our past administration 45 had no wars. We had record-breaking black employment. We had the lowest costs for fuel. We were finally, energy efficient and energy free from the world. We were energy independent, and everything has just been turned around. It's a sad state of affairs we're going through.
Katie, I'd like to jump back to that article we were talking about earlier. I'm going to bring this up here. Shoot. Sorry, guys. I gotta learn how to use OBS. I'm I'm not complete. Okay, I'm just gonna cover your face up, Katie. Sorry, I was trying to cover up mine because you have such a beautiful face.
Oh, you're such a sweet. He's full of baloney.
So we didn't get to the rest of the articles earlier. We kind of got sidetracked, and I apologize for leaving that article up for a long time. Anyways, so the DHS is working with public and private sector partners as well as foreign counterparts to identify and evaluate MDM. That's the misinformation, the malinformation we were talking about earlier, including false or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories spread on social media and other online platforms that endorse or could inspire violence. Okay, so let's look at this articulation here. Inspire violence. Okay, what is inspiring violence?
I don't know. I think your definition is better, is different from mine because I know what they're.
Okay, so what's a freedom fighter?
Well, it's somebody that fights for the truth.
Okay, so we use the word fight. Would that be inspiring violence? I think it's a very motivational expression, don't you?
What I think is inspiring. So what I think is inspiring violence is when you talk about, like Maxine Waters did, and go when you see them, you go and you make their life miserable. You know, what about that? Are they going to include Maxine Waters?
Speaking of Waters, Watergate 2.0. Anyways, so it's about articulation. Okay, so I mean, if we use the word fight, are we inspiring violence? Okay, look what they tried to do with the insurrection bullcrap on January 6th. They're looking for any reason they can to discredit our opinions, our narratives, our facts, because we know we have the facts. Okay.
You know, yeah, they talk about January 6th being an insurrection. Well, what about in 1982, 1984, something like that? A Jewish lawyer and who just so happened to grow up to be a financial advisor for BLM, Susan Rosenberg, tried to blow up the Capitol. Because they set a bomb outside and a bomb went off inside the Capitol. You know, people forget about that. The leftist Susan Rosenberg was trying to kill Robert Byrd, Senator Robert Byrd, who in his past had an ugly past with the KKK. And you know, I can see her anger. I do not respect anyone who would be in a cult like that, like the KKK, but...
Well, you know, okay, speaking of cults, okay, a cult is basically tribalization, okay, and when you have organizations like the FBI entering congressmen's offices dressed as construction workers just because they agree with somebody else's political narrative rather than facts or the constitutional power that was awarded to them that they're able to act on. Breaking the law. These are illegal activities caused by tribalism and cultism. It's really crazy. Wow. And yeah. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We need 1,000 subscribers to be able to live stream. You can tell we're serious. We can tell we're dedicated. You can tell we have emotion behind this, and we're full speed ahead, y'all. Okay, we're going to DC, honk honk, motherfucker, because we're coming.
Yeah, we are. We're serious about this. I can't stress enough how passionate I am about this. Because America, you're being lied to. World, you're being lied to. And the truth needs to come out. We need to get the truth out. Yes, we're giving our opinions here, but we're letting it be known that it's our opinions, but we're also doing it off of
factual information.
Yes.
So it's analyzing the facts and basically theorizing what's going on based on the facts, because we know that the whole story doesn't get out. They trickle little pieces and little nuggets and expect us to nibble on them like little rats.
Yeah, because like Nancy Antoinette and her ice cream doesn't think that we're smart enough to to comprehend what's going on. Well, sweetie,
I'll tell you what. I know what 2 + 2 is. It's 3. So she doesn't think I'm smart. Just kidding.
well, she needs to go home and look at her own, her own
Mirror.
Well, she needs to go home and look at her own area that represent, that she's supposedly representing. It's horrific there. It's one of the largest homeless areas in the United States. San Francisco Bay Area is where her constituents are, and it's just really sad.
Hold her accountable. Call your representatives. Okay, everyone. It's a forgotten tool. Okay, call them, hold them accountable, ask questions, okay? Force them to do their job because they're obviously not doing it. I've been watching, Marjorie Taylor Greene was just on Timcast.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing, amazing episode. Thank you, Marjorie, for getting out there and putting, your reputation was already tried, they already tried destroying it. It's not destroyed. Your reputation has gotten stronger from them trying to destroy it, okay? And thank you for stepping out on that limb and not giving a fuck. Because you know what, I've been in that same boat where I put myself on the limb with my reputation, and people that don't agree with you right now, they will try to eat you alive like a pool of piranhas.
Right, haters are gonna hate, and I'd never heard the woman speak before. I didn't know that much about her. She's not my representative. She represents Tennessee, but I got the chance. Alex, thank you for sending me that podcast.
It was a great podcast.
What was it?
It was Timcast.
Timcast, yeah. And I've been watching him as
Timpool.
well. But she sat there and talked about just being a hardworking business owner who had never played the game, and then went to Washington D.C. and the eye-opening experience that you go through just to be a representative of
The most
people.
important thing that Marjorie's doing is she's putting the congressmen on record by making them vote on a record and over and over again, and that's why they don't like her. And thank you for doing that.
Yes,
because
thank you.
people need to know what our representatives are doing for us, and that's why we need to call them. That's why we need. If we know what they're doing, then we need that. Then we can hold them accountable. But until they're on record, we can't do that. And we need to know what they're doing. There's certain people like Jim Jordan and others that you can clearly tell that they're fighting a good fight.
Rand
Okay,
Paul.
so thank you. Yeah, Rand Paul as well.
Yeah.
What's the governor of Texas? What's his name?
Governor Abbott.
Thank you, Governor
Abbott. Thank you.
I've seen what you're doing. So thank you.
DeSantis. Thank you. It's a sad state of affairs that we're going through right now. That we actually have to stand up here and do this. We're just normal people, and one of the things that people need to be made aware of is how our bills and our laws are made and what they are doing
With our tax dollars.
with our
With
tax
our
dollars,
money.
and how they're not voting. How
They're not.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was said in that podcast that they were voting on bills to have prisoners, convicted felons, murderers, rapists vote in general elections. There was only 10 people in the whole room.
The leader of BLM illegally voted as a felon. Okay, you know how much money was poured into BLM that's now missing. Also, that they probably lobbied into these bills. Okay, I'm so glad that some of the voting laws that they implemented for COVID that they tried to extend and make permanent got rejected. So thank you. I think enough people are waking up to the bull crap that some stuff's getting done at least. But I think for now, I think we've covered a lot. Please subscribe. Turn on the notifications. Okay, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We need your all's help. Okay, let's come together. We need a team to make it. We need Americans to make it. We need to get united.
God bless you, and God bless America.